So we have 5 minutes to share any breadcrumbs, treasures, God winks that we have picked up along the way, maybe this past week or this past weekend or this morning. Or if there's anything laid on your heart this morning that you would like to put out for discussion. Is there anything that we can hold the space for you in? Well, as we all are just trying to be present and work on little aspects of our life to grow and challenge ourselves, one thing that I have been working on is letting go. It is the time, just being in the season of fall, and just kind of thinking about the natural way that a tree in this season, the leaves start to die, change colors, and then die off, and then they just naturally let go of the leaves to be composted in the ground or cleaned up for the winter, the next season of winter. So anything stirring up around you, letting go, being in this fall season, how we can be more vigilant on the letting go, let it happening naturally. We tend to try to keep those leaves on and keep them from changing and keep them hanging on. What is that progression of just being able to be in the season, be in the natural motion of they must die, they must drop away, we must just open hands and letting them fall away. Does that stir up anything, or even living in the season that we are in, the harvest?
It's still super hot here, so.
Oh. Do the leaves change there? Do you have seasons? Yeah.
Yeah, they change. It's not as long of a period.
Mm-hmm. Is it this time of year? Yes. That.
Yeah, we probably won't start to cool off until into October.
Wow, we are definitely cooling down here in Wisconsin, little by little. Good sleeping in the evening. Brenda Wolf, did you have something?
Yes. So yesterday's sermon, you must have been there because it was all about the seasons. So now that you're tying it together. So in Ecclesiastes, that's where we were focused or hanging out in. And I am trying to look for the little guy here. It talked about God's seasons for us and how we have to be open for embracing the season that he has in store for us, because we don't actually know what that is, and we have to trust that he will guide us in the right direction. So I'll probably find it by the end of the hour instead of within the minute here.
That sounds good. So trusting in the unfolding, trusting in and putting that next to, like, so our life, and then putting that next to the seasons of the year, in that they flow in a trusting. They trust, they know that they can trust that what will need to be in that season is in that season. They just stand strong in their foundation. Just speaking of a tree again, they're solid in their foundation. They're rooted into the earth, and that they can trust that whatever is happening next is what's supposed to happen next, is what is unfolding next. And I know a lot of us are visual, so that really helps me to just, like, even when I'm outside, like, just even looking at the grass and how it grows. Well, it's not watered, so it's not growing, but it naturally does what it needs to do. And not even do. It just naturally unfolds into where it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to happen. So no storm, no rain. Well, it's hanging out there waiting, trusting that the rain will come. So that's just given me a good visual over this weekend and being able to be outside a little bit more, and to trust that it will happen. And we are over time, man. That went fast. So I love you, ladies. I'm going to hand it over to you, Brenda. And I can't wait to hear how this conversation continues in the last part of the hour. So have a great time getting your intentions done. Oh, I forgot to hit pause.
I'll get it.
Okay. Thanks, Brenda.
All right. So it was Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and it was a time for everything. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. And in that was chapter 3, 1-8. And then verse 11, he says, he has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. So I always love that reference of the seasons because it's so true on all the renewal, but then there's something that has to happen after it to get to the next season. And when Beth was sharing that this morning, it's, are we letting go and are we able to move into that next season or not? As much as I dislike winter, that transition can sometimes be difficult. But then I know that spring is right around the corner, normally 6 months later, but still it will come. So thinking of that in our own life, in the challenges that we might have, sometimes it's a reassurance that after that bad thing has come through, something good or something better will be right behind it if we're open to receive it.
Yeah, I think about seasons of life, right? And right now I am in the season of, being in the thick of, kids, right? And even though it is frustrating and painful and all of that, I am also growing. And I get a lot of joy as well. I'm not going to say it's all bad, obviously, but in the act of parenthood and parenting, it is hard. And but then when, as they grow, like I already have an 18-year-old, he's not leaving my house anytime soon, but I mean, I am starting to enter that phase of my children growing up and leaving the house, and how I will miss, them being small, and how I will miss them being in my life every day. And so it reminds me to, um, cherish this time when we're all together, and cherish this time where, um, I still have, an influence over them. And, a couple of them I can still cuddle with. And, I mean, I could cuddle with the teenagers, but they won't. But, just, um, just, being present, I guess, to where I am and what season I'm in. And when you talked about winter to spring, it made me think of summer to fall, because our longest season is summer. And, how I long for fall. Fall is my favorite season. I get to wear my boots and layers. I love wearing layers, and my jackets. I have so many jackets and sweaters, and I hardly ever get to wear them. Um, and it's nice to be outside. The air is crisp. And I look forward to that time. And even though it doesn't last for very long, um, it's something to look forward to. And so, yes, I am in this time right now, and yes, it won't last forever. And yes, there will be times where I wish for them to be back. I know that. I know I will miss them, and I will mourn them being here every day, and being able to do things for them and with them. Just as on really cold days, I miss the heat. Even though right now I hate the heat. Right? So,
Well,
yeah, just keeping that all in mind.
and we, we're not that far away, but yet our climates are so different. And, you know, I went to Palm Springs in January. When we left here, it was -7. And when we arrived Palm Springs, it was 87.
Yeah.
And we were the only ones by the pool
Yeah.
because it was too cold for others to be there. And it was so shocking. But yeah, it was like, thank the Lord that we were able to come there and embrace that time, because in the dead of winter, it's nice to go to a warm space.
Yeah. Yeah. 87 is not too cold for me.
Mhm.
I think 87 is really nice, but it gets really hot in Palm Springs. So
Yeah.
I can see that. Plus, there's a lot of old people there. And so, but yeah, it's funny how we all experience temperatures differently,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
and stuff. So
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your experience. I have to run, but I also have to transfer here. So